they decided to do it on, we'll label them as adult toys. So imagine and to be fair, the thing that set off the whole class and their teachers was they asked me for what my experience with adult toys was. And you know me, I'm an introvert.
I'd die, man. I would die.
Yeah, so I didn't quite know how to handle that one.
Okay, well, we've been able to grow faster than we thought. As a result, we need an accountant quicker than we thought, and we had to go looking for an accountant. During that journey of looking for an accountant, we did what we believe most business owners and most companies do now, which is turn to search first. So we started Googling things like accountants Northampton, bookkeeping Northampton, or like, oh shit, we've just finished our first quarter, it's gone pretty well, we've now got a big VAT bill to pay, like how the fuck do we do that? All these kind of things. And what we found was very few accountancy companies set up to capitalize on the demand from paid search, organic search, and just search in general. Like, honestly, like the environment there was not good at all. So what we have done is we've created the Accountancy Growth Council, which is a council of up to 50 accountancy firms who are looking to reduce reliance on referrals and therefore accelerate the growth through organic search. Now, the response to the Growth Council has been like way beyond what we thought it would be in terms of the number of people who have signed up. Now, there are still a few places on the council left. So if you are interested, if you're listening to this, you're an accountant, and you want to join, it's pretty simple. Just go to join.growthcouncil.co.uk/accountancy or message Brendan or I, and we can send you a link. Hello and welcome back to Building. The recording date today is the 1st of December. Somehow we're at almost the end of the year already, and this is episode number 28, and it's a long overdue episode. Brendan, it feels like a very long time since we recorded just the two of us.
Yes, absolutely. It's strange, isn't it? It's like we've almost forgotten how to do this, like running intros. We're like, oh, who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And also, this is probably the first episode that we haven't got kind of show notes for. So we're going to kind of spitball this for the next 45 minutes. So we'll set a timer and we're just going to kind of use the time today to just kind of get everyone up to date with what we've been doing in the background, because we've just been kind of doing a run of guest episodes, which hopefully everyone's enjoyed. But let's get back to our roots on Building and just talk about us, I suppose, and what we've been doing.
Yeah, and before we get fully started, I just want to do something now before I forget, which is I don't know if you've had any of these sent to you, Brendan, but unbelievably, we actually made it into a few people's Spotify Wrap, which is just crazy. So if we have made it into your Wrap, like there was a fair few people, to be fair, that have sent me these screenshots. You're definitely not subscribed because we can see the subscriber counts. So please do subscribe if you've received one of those and you see our pretty faces in your Wrap for 2023.
Absolutely. What a surprise that is, to have people that have been listening to a fair few episodes at least. You must have done to get into that. Yeah, very nice to hear.
I'd say so. And what was crazy about it is that I received quite a few. The first couple I received, I was like, like, that's great. They were only like top 33% listeners as well, which means that some people are listening like to every single episode, which feels really strange, but it's good. And like, obviously, as you said, Brendan, we've had a big focus on guests over the last, well, quite a while now, 7 weeks. And the feedback on those has been great. And we can see obviously the podcast building, if you like, as a result. And then to have a few people yesterday send me through the screenshots was very strange. But yeah, as you said, we have no plan for today in terms of updates and catch ups and all of that sort of stuff. I wonder if we just start with the most recent week, which is this week, and then work backwards from there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good plan, because there's a hell of a lot of stuff to kind of update people on potentially. We'll forget it by doing it like this format, but hey, let's do it. Let's catch people up from today backwards.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So this week, what have been the highlights?
For me, I wrote a LinkedIn post like hopefully everyone's seen. I'm writing LinkedIn every day. Harry's on the more video front because he's got a face for video in terms of TikTok, but we'll come on to TikTok and your progress on that after. But LinkedIn, I've been talking about kind of pushing my personal kind of comfortable zones in terms of this week has seen me for the first time ever. And I don't think 6 months ago, I would not have stood up in front of a class of students and presented 4 hours worth of, well, we tried to make it 4 hours worth of information on SEO for e-commerce sites and then setting them tasks and so on. So I did that on Monday and Tuesday with you, Harry. So we took it in turns to do sessions so we could do a bit of client work whilst we weren't presenting. And then again on Wednesday, presented week 5 of the Agency Growth Council, which I'm sure we'll talk about in greater detail. But for me, it's that pushing of the boundaries, kind of doing a bit of public speaking in a number of different formats. 6 months ago, I would have been like, absolutely no chance I'm doing stuff like that. But actually, you know what? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good fun. Like I've done quite a few. I've been very lucky to do quite a few of these talks with Warwick Uni now. Started pre-COVID, did some during COVID, and then obviously this is the first one when we're representing 1225 and not another company, which is a really weird feeling as well. But yeah, strange to be doing that. But what I thought was funny is like obviously for the first 2 talks, like I went first and you sat in the room, and then you went and I sat in the room for a little bit, and we were both using it as an opportunity to like rinse the other one, but no one else in the room was like understanding or the jokes weren't quite landing. So the amount of times like we were making jokes about like hairlines and things like that, but it wasn't wasn't landing as much as I thought it would.
Oh, mate. To be fair, that second group, they loved it. They loved the opportunity to get. I mentioned obviously, look at me, no hair. So I used hair loss as examples, and you put a topic cluster. We were talking about topic clusters at one point, and one of the examples was hairbrushes. And I was like, clearly, this is Harry's way of getting back at me for having no hair. So we'll talk about hairbrushes. But then we set the class a task of building out their own topic clusters. And literally 3 of the 6 groups decided to do like things on hair loss, like subtle digs at us, at me. And when I asked them about it, oh, so why did you choose that? They kind of just looked at me and was like, because of you. So yeah, I think they got it.
And you maybe had another rather interesting category as well.
Yes, and to be fair, I wanted people to. We asked them to go out and choose their own categories and stuff. So we had all sorts of different interesting kind of e-commerce categories, and then these probably the class clowns, if you can call them that, or the jokers in the class. They've decided to do it on. We'll label them as adult toys. So imagine and to be fair, the thing that set off the whole class and their teachers was they asked me for what my experience with adult toys was. And you know me, I'm an introvert.
Oh, I'd die, man. I would die.
Yeah, so I didn't quite know how to handle that one. That put me on the spot. But yeah, it was all in good jest, and the whole class. When they came to present as well, their topic cluster around adult toys and the variety that you can get, the rest of the class was standing up and taking pictures and filming their presentation as well. So they were all into it. So hopefully, by using examples like that, they would get the concept of topic clusters and go on from there.
Yeah, nice. My experience was not quite that. Like I said, what did I have? I had one person. So we started off each of our sessions by placing like 3 brownies on to do the thought experiment of, okay, well, 1 brownie is on a napkin, 1's on a paper plate, 1 is on a plate. And then we framed it as like, rather than doing the taste test, because that, like had some issues structurally within the class as to how you make that work. Is which one do you think is the most expensive? And then we did the sessions, we had a lunch break, and then you would present in the afternoon. I had someone message me at like 1:30 during the lunch break on LinkedIn, like, I have taken a bite of your brownie. And nothing else. Literally just that. And I was like, to start with, it just didn't click. I was like, who is this person? What are they on about? And I was like, oh, okay. So I went back into the classroom, took a photo of it. And I was like, okay, I'm coming for you now.
Yeah, nice.
Hopefully you realise I was joking. Otherwise, I'm going to get a knock on the door for threatening students.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I've just lost the headphone.
Well, so I picked that a couple of weeks off, and he's fallen apart.
I know, exactly. And I keep moving around on this chair, and it's the squeakiest chair. So for people listening, sorry, I haven't upgraded my office setup yet, but just please deal with it until we get a bit more chance to sort ourselves out with our setups. So yeah, that was an incredible experience. We're going to be doing a lot of work. We're back there on Monday. So the day before everyone will be able to listen to this podcast, helping the same students out with their e-commerce projects. We're also going to be mentoring and kind of supervising 4 of the students each through their dissertation projects over the next kind of 6 to 9 months, I think it is as well. So, and we're back there in January delivering more classes as well. So great opportunity. I think it's a learning experience for both of us. But Harry, like, how tired were you after those sessions?
Oh my God, I was done. Like, the Monday night I fell asleep on the sofa. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to go to bed. Tuesday, I think, slightly better. But yeah, both days I am surprised that it's how used you get to sitting down. So then when you're not sitting down, just the impact it has, I was done.
Yeah, absolutely. Same as me. My legs hurt because we're standing up for a prolonged period of time. I'm getting on a bit. We all know that. But yeah, it's just speaking in that kind of nerves. I wasn't nervous as such, but it was, you could feel your muscles and everything take on that kind of pressure of like presenting and trying to be funny. But yeah, that really took it out of us. I'd say, like, including the travel and all of that. And talking about kind of moving on to the week before that as well, we went to the business show in London.
We did,
had a nice day talking to potential leads and also doing a bit of research into our kind of target markets. And you got ill from that, didn't you? You spent the day out in London with me. We had a nice little pub lunch after that. So that was nice. Thank you very much. Nice little work date, shall we call it?
Absolute treat.
Yeah, that wiped you out as well. You had to go lie down for a couple of days, didn't you?
Well, yeah. Thank you for giving me a platform for sympathy. It's probably how to describe it. But yeah, I think that day in itself was, again, interesting. Like, coming to your point of like pushing through like comfort zones, is like, we are both not the best networkers. Like, I'd say, like, one-on-one conversations and things like that. Yeah, like, we're normal, we're human. We hopefully like to think we come across well and things like that. But when it comes to like breaking the ice and completing new conversations, like, the reason we are going to so many of these shows, well, one is obviously to hopefully drive business for 1225, but the second part is to, I guess, get the reps in. Like, it's something we've been saying quite a lot, which is, you've been to a couple now, and each time it's got progressively better or less worse, whichever way you want to describe it, compared to that's weird. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, what happened there?
What is that? I have no idea.
That's happened on a couple of the webinars, and I thought that's actually like some audience members like giving you the thumbs up for something you're saying. But
there's no one in the audience today, so I don't
know. Yeah, that's weird.
That was weird. I can't even trigger it again. But for anybody on, I guess, just audio listeners, as I was talking there, I did some hand gestures and a nice thumbs up and a bubble came up. So at least that was some positive reinforcement. But yeah, we're doing it to get the reps in. They're becoming progressively less worse or better in terms of the conversation striking. And we came away from it with a few leads as well, which is nice. But yeah, that really took it out of me. I came back home and I was just so cold, like all evening, just really, really cold. And then straight into bed for a couple of days. So hence why we didn't have a podcast last Friday, is because I was tucked up in bed.
Poor little lamb. But you're back with us now. The band's back together. So yeah, and going back to networking, like public speaking for me in terms of these kind of lectures or these classes and webinars, fine. I don't mind that. That's great. Both the business show and the care show that we attended a month or so ago, like, I'm the world's worst. Like, I feel like I'm the world's worst networker. It's like going up to people, like, and just trying to strike up a conversation. I'm not that way inclined. I prefer it when people come to me and talk to me that way. Much better. But it works as well. We signed a client in the past couple of weeks. So shout out to social care people. I'm sure they're listening to this. I did promote it with them in our kickoff meeting. But there, I just went up to Joe, who's now one of our contacts there at Social Care People. And I must admit, personally, I could feel like, oh, this is not going well. I was nervous. I was kind of almost shaking. I was like almost sweaty. It's like, hi, Joe. I'm Brendan. I'm 1225. We do SEO. Like, awful, like literally awful. But that came down to timing for the lead. And that's how we've managed to sign Social Care People. We're good at what we do, but it's just that confidence, like, to just, we're human to human, like just having a chat, conversation. And I probably took a good 2 hours of just walking around the business show on my second go, building up the courage to talk to one person. When I finally spoke to one person, it was like a barrier had broken down and I could go off and talk to everyone else, and had a number of good conversations with people, you know, a couple of potential leads where we could work with them on certain bits and pieces. But yeah, that is the absolute like uncomfortability situation for me. And yeah, I think the cue there is to just keep doing it until you feel a bit more comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I agree. But we've got a couple more coming up. Big focus on trying to just get, like you said, the reps in, if nothing else, in prep for hitting 2024 as hard as possible across all fronts, right? In terms of client retention, client growth, client acquisition. So yeah, the few more to come, and hopefully I can survive the next couple without getting ill as well, because it's not the strongest luck when I go to London for one day and suddenly need 2 days in bed.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, lots of networking, lots of kind of public speaking with Warwick Uni, and also mentioned it briefly, but Harry, do you want to just explain to our listeners about the Accountancy Growth Council?
Oh yeah, okay. So this will actually lead on to another point, so it works quite well. So the Accountancy Growth Council came about for two different reasons, I think. So the first one was, we are a business. We don't shy away from that, obviously. And to be a good business, and I think we said this again in one of the first episodes, is it will come down to our ability to sell. And client acquisition, while being incredibly positive since starting 1225, has been a bit slower than we would like. Like, the economic environment is very difficult. We've spoken to a number of agency owners who, you know, it's been a fairly significant amount of time now since they've had a large client win, or they've been able to bring on the customers in the frequency that they would like. So we started to approach it from a different way, which was, let's look at where our skill set in terms of organic search is underutilized. So you have somewhere we're probably in excess now, right? Like, if you go to many agency websites, including our own, you'll see a large number of them who say, like, we specialize in B2B and e-commerce. It makes sense. But there are a lot of people within that space. So we're like, okay, well, where aren't like people like us playing? And then as we started to really think and research on that, we just delved into our own experience. I'm like, okay, well, we've been able to grow faster than we thought. As a result, we need an accountant quicker than we thought. And we had to go looking for an accountant. During that journey of looking for an accountant, we did what we believe most business owners and most companies do now, which is turn to search first. So we started Googling things like accountants Northampton, bookkeeping Northampton, or like, oh shit, we've just finished our first quarter. It's gone pretty well. We've now got a big VAT bill to pay. Like, how the fuck do we do that? All these kind of things. And what we found was very few accountancy companies set up to capitalize on the demand from paid search, organic search, and just search in general. Like, honestly, like the environment there was not good at all. So that meant we had to get on the phone. We had to speak to a few people and say, okay, like, do you use an accountant? Where'd you get that? Like, where did you find that accountant? And ultimately, we're now working with the guys at MJB as our accountants through a referral, right? So we realized, actually, do you know what? This whole industry, very few people are set up to capture that demand, and we want to help people. So what we have done is we've created the Accountancy Growth Council, which is a council of up to 50 accountancy firms who are looking to reduce reliance on referrals and therefore accelerate the growth through organic search. Now, the response to the Growth Council has been like way beyond what we thought it would be in terms of the number of people who have signed up. Now, there are still a few places on the council left. So if you are interested, if you're listening to this, you're an accountant, and you want to join, it's pretty simple. Just go to join.growthcouncil.co.uk/accountancy or message Brendan or I, and we can send you a link. And as part of that, we're running webinars, which we'll go through in some detail. But the response has been really good. We have people attending the weekly webinars on a weekly basis, which is great. It is actually doing pretty well on YouTube as well. And what we're doing is we've released the SEO playbook for accountants, which is an 8-step process that we go through, but more importantly, tailored to what you would need to do as an accountant in order to grow your firm. And we've done 5 of those so far. So Brendan, as you referenced earlier, you completed week 5 and step 5 on Wednesday, and the next one will come on Wednesday of next week, which is focusing on execution. So that is definitely going to be our most actionable to date. But yeah, it's been a really fun experience so far. Like, it's been able to allow us to tailor our content, to understand what is important, what isn't important, get feedback from people, and ultimately allowed us to start working on some of these accountancy sites that are, how do I say this in aspect? They're at like ground zero at the minute, right? Like, work has not been done on these sites for a long time. So to be able to take those sites and be able to just show those small, like, green shoots, is like, as you like to say, like that increase in visibility, that increase in traffic is so far been very, very fun. So yeah, if you are an accountant and that sounds of interest, let us know. We hold weekly webinars. We have released our SEO playbook for accountants, which we can share. And Brendan, something that you and I are working on right now is the result of your hard work over the last month or so, which is, well, I'll let you talk about it, which is the benchmark report for these accountancy firms.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent a weekend, pretty sad, but things you've got to do as a co-founder of a newish business. Spent the weekend analysing 207 different accountancy firm websites, different sizes, different locations, different specialties, just to get kind of benchmark data, like at a top level. We don't delve into anything kind of major, if you will, but it highlighted a few stark facts around the accountancy industry, but also professional services who have relied on referrals in the past. So from 207 websites, I would say, just based on experience of working on sites on like that, 57% of those sites were not set up with SEO or organic search foundations in place so that they could capitalize on certain kind of services that they offer, or so on. And the other fact is a lot of them seem to be connected in a network, all having the same sort of affiliate type content put onto their site. I'm not going to go down that angle right now, but what that's proved to me as well is I've been doing a lot of writing in the past few weeks about audience first content, what it is, how to get into that mindset, upcoming blog about why you want to be writing audience first content. And that was the prime example, sitting down with Mark at MJB. Great content on the site, useful content, well written, expert content, but it's content written by accountants for accountants, not for their target audience. Like, we didn't find pretty much any site in the local area when we were looking for accountants that answered our questions, and we were prime target audience members for these accountants. They're talking about autumn statements, or changes to tax laws, like things that they would find interesting and probably why they're writing about it on their sites. But we want the fundamental basic kind of, awareness level, like what is a VAT bill? How do you pay a VAT bill? How do you reduce VAT bills? Self-assessment, tax, bookkeeping, all of those bits and pieces. There's so many questions that target members like us who aren't in the numbers each and every day want to know. So that's a huge opportunity for the industry as well, and for many other kind of professional service industries. We see it time and time again. These companies, these businesses, they are in it day to day. So they will talk about themselves using terminology that they use and not their target audience. So it's very much good content, but it's not audience first content. And I think people need to shift to that mindset.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as you said, good platform again to promote your stuff, which is you've posted 2 of
course,
maybe 3 to 5 blog posts on like the whole world of what is audience first, how do you get into that audience first mindset, and then like I guess most importantly, which is coming in a couple of weeks, like how you do it. But yeah, I think this was that your thinking on this and our thinking on this was accelerated by that exact conversation that you were just saying, which was content is great. And there was hundreds and hundreds of pages of this content that was getting published, but all for people who don't need your service, right? If you're an accountant, you probably don't need an accountant. It'd be the same for us, right? Like if you're an SEO, you probably don't need an SEO. So understanding that, I think, was an eye-opening thing for us to be able to be like, okay, this is the real life pain point that we can use, we can isolate down. And we also know that due to the way this content is being published, that there are many accountancy companies like throughout the UK that are going to be running a very similar content strategy. So if you're listening to this and that does sound like you, like please get in touch or please join the Grove Council, because we can help you move away from that to start talking to your target audience.
Absolutely. And I think it's a perfect kind of segue. I like my segues. I think over the past 3 to 6 weeks, whilst we've been doing the guest run of appearances, we've probably had a bit of a re-valuation, and we've really knuckled down and worked out our focuses. So questions like, who's the content for? Why are you producing that content? All of that. But we've done that with ourselves. We've redone our marketing plans. We've looked at, I'm going to be looking after LinkedIn. You're going to be looking after TikTok. Things like this webinar, it's targeted specific content for a particular audience. And I suppose with building as well, it's working out what we want building to be about, who it's for, all of that. So we've pressed the big red reset button over the past kind of few weeks. I think that culminated in a day that me and you spent actually round your house. We were just sitting there, just spitballing ideas, not doing anything else, just coming up with ideas. Even looking at things like agency landscape. Do we want to be going as broad as do we still want to be an agency? Can we still make money as an agency, or do we spark out into something else? So focus, Harry. How are we maintaining our focus?
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna just tee us up with a bit of a clip first. As the TikTok creator, I can use these kind of things. So apologies, I'm gonna just respin that a little bit just so I can snip it up to explain for everyone who's listening to this now. Which is running a business is really fucking hard. It is by far the best thing that I've done from a career perspective. And you and I have spoken about this a few times, which is I could not imagine going back and working for somebody now.
Amen.
May happen one day is in terms of an advisory role or something like that, but I cannot see that. I will fight tooth and nail to not have to do that again. And that was from somebody who had an incredibly positive experience in employment, but I cannot imagine doing it again. But what I mean by running a business is really fucking hard is there are so many things that you have to be considering all of the time. And the core one is obviously growth. To achieve the things that we want to achieve and to be able to put ourselves in the financial positions we want to put ourselves in and all that sort of stuff. The way that just capitalism in general works, I guess, is like you've got to grow. And at the minute, and hopefully we can say this, is we are very happy with our growth, but we would like to be growing a little bit quicker than we are. And what that has led to is, as you were saying, Brendan, like a lot of questioning with not a lot of focus, despite you and I talking a lot about the power of focus. So when we are focused, we're able to achieve a lot, but when we're not focused, we end up going in different directions. We end up becoming quite divided. Probably tensions growing between the two of us and all of the things that aren't associated with good focus. So yeah, you're right in saying what you said, which is we decided that things needed to change, and not because things were going badly, but because they were probably suboptimal is the best way to describe it. So we have hit that reset button to allow us to give that focus. And yeah, I do agree with you. Like, I think there was serious parts of that day where we were like, actually, do you know what? We've got a stable of clients now that we really enjoy working with. Like, I love working with the clients that I have. You love working with the clients that you have. And we're both very lucky to have clients at different stages, but whereby we can showcase growth. So if we can achieve that growth, like, it's very rewarding to see the trend lines and things like that go up. But is it like we just continue to work with those clients and then go and build like an e-commerce website or go start a cafe or like whatever it may be? Like, we had those, like, we got to that level of conversation. But hopefully you're going to agree with what I'm about to say, which is, but what we came out with by the end of that day was a list of actions that we were going to take, like a specific focus on no. For now, like if we're talking about 80-20 principle, like the 80% is 12-25, and that is what's going to get our focus. It almost allows you to create like a flow chart, which has helped with focus, right? Which is, does this thing that I'm thinking about, or does this thing that I'm about to do play into the growth of 12-25? If yes, okay, great. Then we can talk about priority. If no, park it, move it out, and come back to it in a couple of weeks' time, or a month's time, or 6 months' time, whatever it may be. But I think that has probably been the biggest thing that has allowed us to focus, has been, okay, we know this is the thing. Does it match to this journey and the thing that we believe in? If no, just like park it and forget about it. And that is, in my opinion, how we're maintaining the focus.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, mate, I agree with everything. And it's kind of, you've got to be flexible as a business owner, as a co-founder. I've got a number of points here and I'm going to rattle them off. So one, I still have the fear, the Asana fear, you know, when you've got like multiple tasks on a day. It's like, oh shit, I said I was going to get that done. We're doing daily commitments and stuff, which is great. But sometimes everything that you say you're going to do, you just can't do that. So that fear, moving things out, just getting better at prioritization. That's what I think that's allowed us to do. And just pulling it back, like being a business owner is hard work. Yeah, I agree. If I was a founder and not a co-founder, I don't know if I could have lasted this long just by myself. Or it would have been a lot more messy and not as successful as it's going at the minute. But B, as well, you've got to understand the dynamics, and this is kind of for the listeners. And the way that I explain it, I'm sure I've probably said it on the podcast before as well, but running your business, especially getting it off the ground, is a bit like a bobsled run. You know, you're in a bobsleigh and you're hurtling down an icy hill at like 100 miles an hour. Like, I would say you are definitely the driver in the sense of pushing the direction, pushing like, I want to grow at this pace and do this. And you're still wedded to the forecast. You're still wedded to the financials, which is great. We need one of us to be a bit like that, to drive from that sense of direction. And I feel like I'm a bit more of the brake man, just keeping us on course and helping us both focus. Like, yes, I know we want that growth, but also there's lots of things that we can do to enable. I don't care necessarily about growth right now. I don't care about the numbers right now. If we're putting ourselves in the best possible position to hit those numbers in year 2, 3, 5, 6, whatever it may be. So I think we've got to kind of, whilst we're focusing right now on what's best, it's with that focus on the future as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And there's two things on that. First of all, which is, and this is something that Alina says to me all the time, and it's a takeaway that I've just had from what you said, which is, so in what you're saying, Brennan, you're saying that I'm helping you keep it up.
Explain that. Expand on that.
And the second, there's nothing to expand. I just thought it's quite clickbaity. And the second part was on that. So I don't know if you listened to this episode yet, Brennan, but obviously I speak to you quite a lot about the My First Million podcast, and I was listening to one in the car yesterday, and one of the things that Sam, who's one of the guys who run the podcast, was saying that he has a very extreme relationship with goals. So he will admit himself, like the way that he sets financial targets and stuff like that is like, okay, well, last year it said 7 million. Wouldn't it be nice if that 7 was now a 9? Look at what this does to my profit margin. Yeah, fuck it, that'll do. And then that'd be the conversation done. But he'd be so wedded and focused to that 9, but obviously wouldn't hit it because the only planning he did was go into the Google sheet, find and replace 7 with 9, job done. To then getting quite frustrated by that and going, okay, fuck it, this year, no goals. Let's just see what happens. And obviously, like, I can relate to both of those, like, because I've been in that mindset. I was actually going to come to you, but actually, do you know what? Why don't we just fuck off everything and just, let's just figure out what happens. Let's just grow organically and get to the end point of 2024 and be like, did that work? I don't think either of those two things are probably the right approach. I think where we are landing now is probably the right thing, which is have an eye on year 1, year 2, year 3 targets, which is great. And if we can come within 70-80% of that, things are good.
Yeah.
The big thing for me is that I think we still, as long as we have a focus on it, it will still put us in a better position. Like, again, from the conversations that we've had, from some of the podcast conversations and things like that, which is there are other ways of doing it, and we know that, which is around like the organic side of things. But what you will find, or at least one of the takeaways from the conversations we've had, has been a lot of people wish they had turned their focus to this stuff sooner. So if we can keep our focus on it, but be mindful of, okay, well, if we don't get to 100, as long as we can get within 70-80% of whatever we're aiming for, things are good. Then I do think that helps, like, personally help reframe my thinking a little bit, and wouldn't have come about without like the podcast apps that we've done. So a nice, I guess, mutual benefit of this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny the differences as well. Like, firstly, on the goals, I definitely agree. We need goals. Like, we are very much like, we've got projects, like code names for projects that we're working on, and they're all defined by revenue areas that we want to hit. And I think that focuses the mind, because every time we're like, oh, today I'm working on project X. So we both know, oh, okay. And that's getting in our mind each and every day. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're striving for. Great. Keeps us driven, keeps us going. And I think there needs to be that ambition, which is there, which is great. However, the differences between me and you, and I think that's why we work quite well together. Most of the time, sometimes you annoy me and I annoy you. It's natural.
Most of the time. Sorry, what?
But people who listen to this and have had meetings with us in the past kind of few weeks, you will see a stark difference. Like, I wouldn't say you're negative, but you're probably on the pessimist kind of scale. It's like, yeah, things are okay, but like, I'd like to be further ahead. And it comes across as if things aren't going well. But I'm like, mate, we're 5 months in. We're an established business now. We've got a good core of clients. Yes, we aren't where, like, necessarily in our heads we've dreamed that we want to be ahead, but we're now a viable business and we're pushing, and we've put so much work and effort into this business now. We've got the foundations for success laid down. Let's just build on. So it's that kind of shift and that mindset. I know yours comes from a good place and I wouldn't change it at all. But sometimes I feel like I have to, like, slap you around the face a little bit and say, mate, chill out, enjoy the journey. It's almost like you're pulling yourself through the journey because that's the way you feel. And actually, sometimes I think you need to realize how far you've come and, like, how far we've come as a business. Just that enjoyment, because as I say, and this sounds really cheesy, but for me, it's the journey, and I'm looking forward to in 5 years' time listening to episode 356, being like, you know what, we've done it. But yeah, this is great.
Hopefully by episode 356 we'll be able to be recording in person.
Yeah, exactly, with a proper setup and proper mics, because every time we record a podcast, Harry moans at me about podcasts about this. Half the time I forget my AirPods. Yeah.
But yeah, like, to be fair, but again, like, some of that stuff is what we went through on that day when we were planning, and we have a conversation lined up for next week. I think it's Wednesday, where we're going to go look at a proper podcast recording studio and see what we can do from that front. So yeah, we have doubled down, focused efforts, and like what we're 1 or 2 weeks into that reset, and it's definitely been like maybe just for you and I personally, even if, but I'd say just in general actually, which has definitely been a momentum shifter, and it's been quite nice to recap and all of that. Like, I'm thinking, like you said, we'll press the time for 45 minutes and just see where it takes us. In 1 minute's time, that will be 45 minutes, or something like that. We're getting pretty close, but
yeah,
like, I'm trying to think, what else has happened?
Mate, there's so much that's happened. Like, for me, with my clients as well. So I've been going to Ashbury's office. We tried to get them on the podcast. They are going to be joining us at some point on the podcast, but probably in the new year. So spending time with clients, that's the bulk of the work. That's a priority. It always has been the priority. And even now, even in my own business, I got taught this concept many years ago with a former colleague, tilting, explaining like the process of tilting. It's like a ship that lists in the sea or like hits a sandbank. You start tilting when you see you're a analyst or what, everything. I'm probably tilting right now, and that is made easier by all the strands that we've got, all the different projects, things like the Accountancy Growth Council. Now this work with Warwick Uni, that's kind of helping sustain us as well in this first year. But yeah, it's just been crazy. I don't know if there's any other kind of major bits and pieces, but it's obviously lining up the guests. We've had a number of guests lined up for the podcast. We will get them on. Matt Stuckey, I'm looking at you, speaking to you directly right now. We will get these people on the podcast at some point, but don't worry. Exciting plans in the pipeline. Yeah.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And obviously, we've only got a couple of weeks now until we have our first ever Christmas party as well. So things to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely! A nice romantic dinner in Northampton. Unfortunately, we've got to bring our partners along with us. So,
mate, you realise you've said that on camera while being recorded?
Yeah, I know. I'm aggressive for punishment.
I'll be clipping that up, and that's going to come right across on WhatsApp.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Don't hurt me, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah. All right. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so. I think for a spitballed kind of episode, I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I think what we should aim for the 1225 Christmas special, which I feel like we have to release on Christmas Day, given our name.
Yeah, nice. It's like Christmas for your business. Do you remember that tagline?
We forgot about that. Why aren't we doing that in December?
I don't know. It's just so much work to do, isn't it?
The 2024 Christmas campaign is sorted.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we should aim for the Christmas special to be done in person. We can sit around, wear some Christmas hats, and eat some mince pies or something.
Should we drive up to that bar in Newcastle area called 1225? Just record a podcast there.
Head back round, 45 minutes done. Nice. See you later. But yeah, nice. let's aim for that. When we meet next week with the recording studio, and say that our aim is to be able to do the Christmas special in person, and then we'll see if it happens.
Yeah, nice. Perfect. Okay. I think
sign us out.
That's everything. So as ever, swing well, put true.